All right, well, let's go ahead and dive right in. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining. I think I recognize a few names from our previous month's What's New webinar. So it's really great to see you again, at least virtually. And thank you for joining for August. My name is Shannon DeLang. I'm the Customer Education Manager here. So you may have seen my name on some Help Center articles or heard my voice in some of our content. But I really look forward to this webinar every month. One, because I get to talk to all of you wonderful people. And two, we get to just talk about all of the really great new features that have been released in Vanta within the last 30 days or so. So what we're going to do here is just quickly talk about the agenda and then we'll get started. It's not incredibly bulky today, but we have some really great new features and things that I can't wait to showcase and highlight to all of you today. But we probably won't make it to the full hour, which leaves us a lot of time for questions and conversation. So there's always a bonus to that as well. So first thing I always like to start with here is just asking people to introduce themselves into the chat. You can do so directly just towards me if you want to stay private, or you can introduce yourself to everybody in the group today. I think there's probably about 8 or 9 of us. But if you just want to let me know, your first name, where you are in your compliance journey, if you have started it yet, and how you've been using Vanta just gives me a great idea of where everybody's at with their product knowledge. If you're brand new, if you've been using Vanta for 3 years now and can teach me a few things, just helps me get a good assessment of the group. Also, and where you're located, just because that's really fun. We've had global attendees the last few times we've run these sessions, which has been really great. So while everybody's typing that in, I'll go ahead and get started. My name's Shannon. I live in Providence, Rhode Island, so I am an East Coaster, but I challenge you to hear an R slip when I talk. Curated a very, very Midwestern accent for this reason. But you might catch it. If you catch me, let me know. And I've been at Vanta for a little bit over a year now and absolutely loving it. Excellent. So we got somebody coming from Pennsylvania. Perfect. New to Vanta and just starting your compliance journey. Great. We'll have a lot of great resources I can direct you towards as well. San Francisco. Excellent. New to Vanta. That's where we are headquartered, is in San Francisco. So you may have seen the Ilma, our llama logo, on some billboards out there. Oh, perfect. Security engineer. Wonderful. You can probably teach me quite a bit about compliance then. Feel free to drop some tips in the chat if you have them. Wonderful. And another person from San Francisco. Excellent. Well, this is a great place to be if you are just starting your Vanta journey, as well as we have a few seasoned compliance experts here, getting to know the product a little bit more, see what we have available. So a couple quick things. This is being recorded. I will send it out to everybody probably before Friday afternoon. So if you want to review it or share it with your team, please feel free to do so. I keep the chat open on a completely separate screen. As I mentioned earlier, we have a smaller group today, so we can keep this pretty conversational. Feel free to ask questions, feel free to chat with each other, chime in. I will answer questions as they come, as well as leave some time at the end of the session to answer things as well. I will do my best to answer every single question that we get. That being said, if we get something insanely technical that is just kind of above my knowledge, I will definitely reach out to some of my team members, see if we can get it answered before you hop off today. Otherwise, I promise to make sure you get it in an email later on this week. Oh, excellent. And then somebody from Austin, Texas. I have been told it is insanely hot in Austin, Texas right now. So I hope you are cool and in the air conditioning. All right. Well, today we have a few new customization items available in Vanta. It's nothing incredibly different than what you've seen, but a lot of it has to do with Vanta and templates. So the whole goal of Vanta is to templatize a lot of the process to make it a lot easier for you. But as we know, real life doesn't necessarily always operate in templates. So we've added a few new customization features so that way you can really align what Vanta has created for you to meet your company's needs, which is always very, very helpful. We're going to talk about universal search, which kind of connects all of our resources together. So I'm, of course, as an education professional, very, very excited about this one. We're going to talk about leave status. So just another option you have for managing your employees and your programs and automations and notifications if somebody is out on leave. We'll talk about bulk upload inventory items. So anything that is in your asset, in your network of assets, that isn't brought in through our integrations with Vanta, you can add custom inventory items as well to make sure that they're apparent in your audit. And then we're going to talk a little bit about integrations. I think I'm actually going to start with integrations simply just because it's not super simple to demo because we have so many, but I just want to make a couple of quick little call outs about some new features that we have for integrations. So I'm going to hop on out of the slides. I try and stay away from slides as much as I can. And as I said, we have a ton of integrations here at Vanta. Pretty much any platform you can think of, we work with it. But we do have a really great feature now as well. Other than the 30 new integrations that we just released in the last month, we also work with private integrations now as well. So you guys can all connect your in-house or third-party application to Vanta's trust management platform. So if you have any additional questions about that, let me know, and I can certainly put you in touch with some of our team members who can give you a bit more of a demo on private integrations. If you're curious about some of the new integrations we have, I am just going to go ahead and put a little link in the chat here. Like I said, there's 30 new integrations just this last month. So ServiceNow is one of them, Airtable is one of them. So one of those really big names in the tech space we integrate natively with in Vanta. And if you're ever unsure about integrations that we work with, you can of course check our help center, but also the way that it's structured on the integrations page allows you to see very quickly what your team has already connected, but then also do a quick search of everything that is available. So you can type things in here. Let's just type in Okta. There we go. So if you don't see the integration that you're looking for here, you can always request it. Vanta takes feedback very seriously. So please feel free to always let us know what you're thinking and what we're missing. We want to make the product the best that it can be for you guys. All right. That being said, let's start demoing some of that new functionality that we had talked about. So as I mentioned, we just have a couple new pieces of customization available. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have customizable as well as that new functionality, just because a couple of you mentioned that you're brand new to Vanta. So I think it might be helpful just to see kind of the full view of that. So one of the first ones here is controls. So when we think about frameworks and we think about controls, when you first log into Vanta, you will see all of the different standards or frameworks that your company is working towards attestation to. So I'm just going to hop into SOC 2 because that's probably one of the most popular. But you'll see all of the controls that are associated with this particular framework. So my demo environment, I just want to mention this very quickly, is probably going to look a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, simply just because everybody from Vanta comes in here and tests things out. So if it looks a little bit overwhelming, that's why. Yours is probably going to be a lot cleaner than what you're seeing on my screen today. But that being said, we have all of these controls that have been established within this framework because it's supposed to be there. But as we mentioned, there are often need for things to be a lot more flexible than what the template has provided. So we do have that opportunity to create new controls. So you can add custom controls as needed to each framework, both just the standard frameworks that we have kind of out of the box, as well as any custom frameworks that your organization may have created. But a couple of the other things that I just want to mention here in terms of that customization is that when you're creating a new control, you can add the ID, the name, the description, all of the different requirements here, as well as the effective date. But then let's click into one of these controls here as well. We'll do this employee background checks because we also now have the opportunity to edit again, ID, owner, we can add specific notes. But when we look down here, we can see all of the mapped elements. So if this was a custom control or a control that existed within a particular framework, but you're thinking this control would actually be really beneficial in a separate framework or maybe one of the custom frameworks that I have created, you can go ahead and map this control directly to that framework. So you have a lot of customization available, even though Vanta's main goal is to make things easy for you. We do know that there are going to be instances where you have to be a little bit more flexible. So now all of that templatized information that we have is going to allow you to do that. A couple other locations where we have some more features for customization is going to be within our policies. So for those of you who are kind of brand new to Vanta, have you started working within our policy section yet, or creating policies, building out policies? Sure, it is a process a lot of you are very familiar with in and outside of Vanta. A couple of you have taken a look. That's great. So just to give you a little bit of a background on the policies, again, just we have a couple brand new folks here, is that it is all templated as well. So rather than having to create policies from scratch, you have the opportunity to use Vanta's templates. So to take a look at this one here, operation security policy. This one hasn't been started in my account. Let's take a quick look at it. You can upload, you can sync with any sort of document manager that we integrate natively with, so Google, Confluence, SharePoint. But let's take a look at the templates here, because this is really what makes this process a lot simpler for everybody. Is that instead of creating something from scratch, Vanta has really created these all-encompassing templates for important policies. They kind of highlight where you should edit. The entire policy itself is editable, of course, because every single thing in this template might not make sense for your organization, but generally speaking, a lot of it probably will. Now, a couple of instances that up until recently we didn't have the chance to edit was any sort of policy that wasn't a custom policy that you or your team had created from scratch and instead used from Vanta's policy stack. You can now go in and just edit some of that metadata. So if you click this view details option here, we can come in and we can change the name. So before we were kind of just keeping the template name exactly as it existed, we can now go in and edit that. And just some other fun customization items. Fun might not be the best word if you're not as excited about the Vanta features as I am, but you know, exciting, helpful might also be appropriate. You can come in and edit the description. So Vanta has the smart system descriptions as well, so it kind of auto-populates that information for you, but you can edit it. We have our notes. So as you're kind of creating these policies, editing these policies with your team members and other admins, you can leave notes for each other. You can leave notes just to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. And then we can also, of course, see all of the frameworks and controls that these policies have been mapped to as well. So again, not massive changes, but just things that are going to be very helpful in terms of making Vanta really work for your unique instance, because you would think that things would be pretty similar from organization to organization, but honestly, every customer that I talk to, every person at Vanta that works with customers, the thing that they say is everyone's instance, everybody's process and journey to audit is so different. So we, of course, just want to make sure that things are editable and customizable to fit into that journey for you. Excellent. So any questions about customization, or for those of you who are kind of brand new to Vanta, any questions just about the policies page or the templates? If I am talking about anything that you're not familiar with, please just let me know. I know a good chunk of us are new to the product, so happy to take some time and explain those features as well. I mentioned our list today for features is not super extensive, so we do have a bit of time to cover other things if we need to. All right, excellent. So the next thing that I want to talk about here is leave status. So Vanta, you have probably heard this so many times. And that is the more that you integrate, the more that you automate. So where would policies be used, internally or externally? So policies, the way that you want to think about these are guidelines for keeping your company secure, keeping your customers' information secure. So they are created internally, but some of them are going to relate to external factors in the sense that you're probably going to have a policy about how you manage customer information. You're going to have a policy about how you manage credit card information if you are, trying to become PCI compliant. So they are created internally. They are for your internal team members and managing the different factors that come along with all of the different things that your company is doing to be compliant. So physical security, there's policies for keeping your office secure, making sure people are locking their computers and locking the door before they leave. So I don't know if that was the question you were asking. It might be a little bit more technical than I'm reading it as. So if that's the case, please do let me know. Otherwise, the easiest way to think about the policies is that it's meant to be guidelines for your team, for your organization to remain secure and compliant in all facets. Please don't feel bad if I misunderstood your question. Got it. So a data policy is internal, but it connected to a GDPR framework and external DPA. I want to say yes, but let me just follow up with one of my team members to make sure I am answering this in the correct detail. I am not an expert when it comes to policies, so I just don't want to give you the wrong answer. One cool resource that I will share with you, though, is I'll share it at the end of this session as well, is we have one of our compliance experts. Some of you may have already attended some of the AMAA sessions with them. Their name is Matt Cooper. They've taken a deep dive on all of the policies that we have in our template stack. So I'll share those with you as well, and then definitely get a more detailed answer to your question. Excellent. All right. So we were talking about leave status. Yes. So up until recently, sometimes employees will be on medical leave. Sometimes they will be on parental leave. There's a lot of different reasons for your employees to take leave. Now, when somebody is taking a leave of absence, we don't want to offboard them or remove them from our organization, but we don't want to be sending them reminders. We don't want them to be included in all of the automated workflows that we've created within Vanta. So until leave status was created, people would be on leave, but they would still be receiving notifications to approve changes to a policy. Anything that their name had been attached to, they were still included in those workflows. So what we're able to do now is access our glorious people page here. And then let's just look for myself. You can see I have done a few demos with my own name, but let's use this first one here. So to set the leave status, very simple. You go into the people page, you can search for the person's name. We're going to use this 3-dot icon over the right-hand side, and we're just going to go ahead and say set leave. Now, what makes this unique is kind of the set it and forget it option. So we have the opportunity to just say, okay, on August 24th, Shannon will be on leave. We can also, we should be able to set a reminder. I might be telling you guys the wrong information. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I was right. It's just up at the top. I was looking in the wrong location. We do have the opportunity to set the deadline. So if I want to be able to set it and forget it, I can say, excellent. Shannon's leaving on August 24th. She'll be back August 31st. So the workflows will automatically resume as soon as I'm back. Apologies, I confused myself there. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through the motions one more time for everybody here. So again, we're just going to click this icon over on the right-hand side, set leave. You can pick the start date. And the optional end date is going to be right up at the top here. Sorry, I was looking for it down at the bottom. Been a bit of a long day. Definitely need a second cup of coffee. And then if you want to set that optional end date, you can. Set the leave. Any workflows that this user is associated with will automatically be reinstated as soon as that leave ends. Now, of course, things like these are subject to change, so it is not a permanent date. If I came back earlier, if I needed a few weeks, you can always update that leave from the same location. So I could say, you know what, actually, guys, I'm not going to be back till December 30th. We update that leave, no problem. Let me see here. Do we know if leave status would propagate to third-party integrations like KnowBe4 or pick up leave status from an HRIS? That is a fantastic question. I do not think it is a two-way feature. So I think this information is brought in through our IDPs that we have integrated within Vanta. But I can double check. I'm pretty sure it's a no, but I will double check. That's a great question. I might have missed, but why would we set someone on leave? No, excellent question. So typically, if somebody goes on leave, they would still have all of their reminders and all of the workflows that they're a part of be sent to them. So, for example, I'll just use policies as one of them. So let's go into, let's see here, data management. If you are making an edit to a policy or you are creating a new version or you are just making changes to it, it does have to be approved by an admin. So if I was an admin that was responsible for this policy and I was on, excuse me, and I was not marked on leave, I would still be receiving notifications to that workflow. So what leave does is just pause all of the notifications and workflows that I'm a part of. So that way I don't receive them and somebody else can be responsible for those renewals, approvals, that sort of thing. Does that make sense? So it would really only apply to people with an assigned task. Yes. Yeah. Can this work for PTO? I'm sure it could. I don't know if you would want to use it for that reason. That would be a lot of updating. Um, Especially because everybody takes PTO at your organization. So it could, but I don't necessarily think it would be worth it for that purpose, unless somebody was like going on PTO for like 3 months. Then in which case it might be worth considering leave. Um, yeah, that might be beneficial. But other than that, if somebody was kind of just taking a long weekend or a week off, I don't think it would be helpful because, you know, they'd be back in a timely manner to be a part of those workflows again and respond to the security tasks and such. Would leave also apply to an individual's laptop or patching or device compliance? I'm actually not sure. That's a great question, but I will ask. Yeah. I'm certain that their device would still be being monitored as long as they had the MDM installed or the agent. So from Vanta side, you'd still have that information available to you. But I will absolutely just confirm. That's a great question. Wonderful. All right, let's take a quick look at the last two things we have. So inventory items. So Vanta agent and MDM, when you have those established within your asset, they're going to pull information into your inventory page. We do have the opportunity here to add custom items individually. So anything that's not being monitored by an MDM or a Vanta agent that you would like to also have appear here in Vanta. You can add a singular custom item, which is very simple, but there may be instances where you have more than one. So of course we want to make sure we can save time. So Vanta has created a template for you to be able to do that. So all you would need to do here is download this Excel template. Mine's probably going to open, I think, in Mac numbers. Very similar, but just want to call that out. If you are using a Mac and you don't have Excel, you'll just want to save it as an Excel file. But you'll add all of this information here for all of the items that you would like to add, all the inventory items. Each new inventory item would be kept on a new row. And then all you need to do is just upload the file and you'd be good to go. You can see here a couple of my team members have already gone through and done this process. So very simple to get that information in here. And the last thing that I want to talk about here is just that universal search. So this, selfishly, again, I am very fond of this, but it actually just launched within the last few weeks, and it really is just going to help answer any of the questions that you may have. So for example, if you are just logging in, you're not really sure what the tests page is going to do for you, you can come in here and take a look at all of the information that we have in our help center. So adding custom notes to tests. And what's really helpful about this is you don't have to leave Vanta for it. So we have a really robust help center, shameless plug there. And I'll give you all the link if you want to take a look at it. But instead of leaving Vanta, you can simply view all of that information directly from this universal search. Additionally, it's going to help you with navigation. So if you're looking for a particular page within Vanta, we type in tests, we can go right to the tests page. And if you want an overview on everything, just keep it at all, and it'll show you all the resources that we have, all of the pages that exist with that name, as well as any sort of details for this specific keyword that you're searching for. That being said, a couple other options that I just do want to showcase to you guys, because a couple of you are brand new to Vanta, is our Help Center. We have some really great resources. We have our Help Center articles. So if you have questions about very specific features, this is a great option. You can come in here, type in, let's say, Vanta Agent. It'll show you all the articles that we have. We also have our Vanta community. So if you want to connect with peers, if you want to talk to other users who are using Vanta, pick their brains, have them answer your questions for you, we have our community established as well. And then for those of you who kind of prefer an approach like this, but for product training, we also have the Academy. So that will take you through a step-by-step product training of Vanta that you can complete in your own time. So a lot of great options outside of the universal search, but the universal search does pull from these resources as well without ever having to leave Vanta, which is pretty cool.